Hello everyone, it's Angelika Kargulewicz, clinical nutritionist, and in today's episode we will talk about the sleep, why it is so important to ensure ourselves with the good sleep and how it can affect our health. And the question is, which factors can disturb our sleep and what to do to prevent them. A proper sleep allows us not only to maintain health, but also to achieve so-called well-being, which means feeling good, but also to have energy to complete our daily tasks. Sleep of sufficient length and quality ensures the proper endocrine function, also proper carbohydrate metabolism, cardiovascular function, as well as proper reliable memory. To realize how important sleep is for our health and overall well-being, it is worth to reminding ourselves that we devote as much as 1/3 of our life to it, so it is an enormous part of our life. In America alone, around 70 million people suffer from insomnia and other sleep disorders. So the question is how we can ensure ourselves with the good quality of the sleep. So in other words, which factors can disrupt the quality and the length of our sleep? If you are interested in these issues, please stay with me today. The first factor I would like to discuss, it is the exposure to the blue light from our daily devices. A computer, a tablet and especially smartphone screens, they emit the blue light which can interfere with the production of the melatonin, a hormone which regulates our sleep. So of course it is recommended to limit the exposure to the blue light at least 1 hour before our bedtime. Another mistake before bedtime is eating a very full meal just right away before going to sleep. Eating such a big meal before the bedtime can cause the feeling of fullness. Of course, it can cause heartburn and other symptoms of gastroesophageal reflux, which of course disrupt the quality of our sleep. So it is very good not to eat too late before the bedtime. We should eat the last meal right before the bedtime, like 2 to 3 hours before going to sleep, and make sure that we do not eat like enormous meal like at the last meal during the day. Another factor which can disrupt our quality and length on the sleep is drinking alcohol. Even so-called one drink before bedtime just to make our sleep better. And in this situation, indeed, one glass of wine or one drink before bedtime can help you relax and fall asleep more easily. But unfortunately, after a few hours, it can interfere with the efficiency of our sleep. So in this situation, you end up getting even less sleep. Namely, alcohol interferes with certain phase of the sleep, more precisely with the third phase of non-rapid eye movement phase and also with the rapid eye movement phase, which are responsible for the effective sleep and also for the body's regeneration. The effect of this is to keep our body in the phases of so-called lighter sleep. And in addition, alcohol causes also arousal, for example, associated with the more frequent need to urinate. In addition, drinking alcohol before the bedtime can cause excessive relaxation of the muscles, including those muscles around our throat, which can worsen not only the snoring but also sleep apnea syndrome, in effect making us feel even more tired in the morning than the previous day. Another tricky factor which can disrupt our sleep is caffeine. Of course, there are some people who may not actually feel the effects of caffeine on their ability to fall asleep, but the opposite is observed in others. Why is it that in one person the effect of caffeine lasts for 15 minutes, while in another person it lasts for up to 7 hours? It is determined by individual factors such as liver metabolism of this ingredient itself. But despite the individual response, we should also remember that caffeine is a stimulant which slightly speeds up the heart rate, also is causing the reduced feeling of fatigue and also puts us in a state of alertness. If we do experience such kind of the effects of the caffeine, we should not ingest caffeine before going to sleep. And it is also worth to mention that caffeine is not only found in coffee but also in tea, chocolate, in yerba mate, guarana, and nowadays very common energy drinks. And it is also worth to mention that caffeine is found in the painkillers, but not in every of them, but in some, because caffeine boosts its action. Another factor which can disrupt our sleep is nicotine, and very similar like caffeine, it is also a stimulant which accelerates the heartbeat, increases the blood pressure and also the respiratory rate. The stimulant effect of the nicotine can last for several hours, and on the other hand, in smoking addicts, not smoking for the several hours can increase the tendency for a withdrawal syndrome, and in thus feeling irritability, headaches, poor sleep, and also tendency to wake up during the night. So in that kind of situation, we put our organism in the state of so-called vicious circle. And what is the solution for this kind of situation? The solution is only one: to quit smoking for the good. Another factor which can disturb our sleep is exercise, and of course this is very tricky because physical activity is recommended, but we should bear in mind what kind of physical activity we do before the sleep time, because if this kind of physical activity is very strenuous, it can put us in a state of alertness and it can cause the problems with falling asleep. So it's better to choose the time of the day for exercise in the first part of the day than in another one, especially if our physical activity, if our training is very strenuous, very vigorous. In that kind of situation, we should rethink the time when we do exercise. And of course, exercise is always recommended, but only important part here is to think in which part of the day we do exercise. Another factor which can disrupt our ability to fall asleep easily is quite difficult to handle. What is this? It is worrying or stressing too much, especially in the evening. And this is obvious that research shows that this kind of behavior, worrying too much, stressing too much in the evening, can worsen the quality of our sleep. But what to do in that kind of situation? Maybe this is a good time to consider some techniques of the relaxation, for example, in the form of autogenic training. Unsuitable conditions of the room in which we sleep can be also the cause why our sleep is not efficient. For example, too much brightness, but also turning the light on at night, these are factors that can worsen the quality of our sleep. Too high temperature of the room in which we sleep is also not recommended. Optimum, depending on individual factors, is around 15 to 20 Celsius degrees. A cooler environment can promote a better quality of rapid eye movement phase, which is a sleep phase associated with intense dreams and also mental regeneration. Another factor which can disturb our sleep is unregulated rhythm of going to bed and getting up. And the best solution here is taking care about routine, which means going to bed and getting up at more or less the same times of the day. It is obvious that poor quality of sleep is bad for us. It decreases the tolerance of the glucose, increases also the insulin resistance, and also decreases the secretion of the satiety hormones, and simultaneously it increases the release of another one like orexigenic hormones like ghrelin. This makes it very difficult to maintain a healthy body weight and also increases the level of stress hormones, for example, like cortisol. In addition, poor quality sleep disrupts our immune system, making us more susceptible to infection. Therefore, it is worth taking care of our sleep. How to do it? For example, by following the advices I gave you in this episode. If you like my movie, please leave the like and please subscribe the channel as well. And I hope that we will see each other in the next episode.